1 week from today, Nebraska voters will head to the polls in Hastings. Voters will decide whether they want to spend the money to renovate the city's elementary schools. Hastings Public School Superintendent Craig Kautz joins us this morning to talk about this. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it very much. The bond issue, as it's going to be on the ballot, has actually gone through years and years of work to get it there. Let's talk about sort of the time frame behind this.
A critical decision was made 7 years ago when the Board of Education elected to start buying down and paying off an early retirement incentive program so that they could be ready to provide for elementary facilities without increasing the levy. So 7 years ago we started on this. We've had two committees since then look at the elementary situation. Both of them drew the same conclusions, with the second committee made up of 15 community representatives giving us some very specific solutions to work with, and that's basically what voters will be deciding on May 13th.
And the challenge primarily had been, do you try to build new or do you renovate? And it seemed like the public spoke and they wanted to renovate and sort of use the neighborhood schools format as it's been. Is that correct?
We have been listening to the community for quite some time. We used a number of scientific polls to get at what the community thought were the best solutions. And the package that we're providing represents all the values of the community, except sometimes those values conflict. So it represents a lot of things. We think we've hit the mark. We hope we have, and we'll find that out May 13th.
Currently 6 elementary schools. 3 of those facilities are 80 years old or nearly 80 years old. You've got some great shells of buildings, but there's no question there's some renovations that need to be done. Talk about what sort of the process will be then in the changes. One of them will go away. Is that correct?
One of them will go away. Morton Elementary actually will be repurposed. It'll only go away as a K-5. But our situation is kind of counterintuitive. We're actually going to add to the new buildings. And by doing so, we vacate or create space to allow us to vacate Alcott when it needs to be taken care of, and to vacate Longfellow completely when it needs to be taken care of. This is preferable over temporary facilities that you'd have to invest in order to make that work. So we think we're making permanent changes that it will be good for everyone, and we're doing that in a cost-effective manner.
And you talk about the cost. The bond issue is for $21.5 million, but the press on this is that it will not increase a tax levy at all. How does that work?
Well, we've prepared for it. We're actually repurposing levy. Again, we're not providing early retirement incentive programs at the level that we were. It's not to say that we might not have to do that down the road, but even if we have to do that, we've positioned ourselves so that we can make the transition, start investing in our facilities at this time, and be able to lift this without a levy increase.
We've seen a lot of signs of support out there. At this point, if there are critics out there, they've been very, very quiet. Does that worry you at all?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
You just don't know what people are thinking, and we won't know until May 13th. But as I move about the community and as I listen to people, I'm really hearing two things. I'm voting for that, or why wouldn't I vote for that, are the two comments that I generally receive.
And if for some reason it does not pass, is there a plan B?
There is a plan B. It's not as good. We'll have to go back and actually be more aggressive with the early retirement incentive program in order to buy down our general fund costs. And as we try to buy those down, what we'll do is not necessarily save that money, but we'll invest that money in piecemeal repairs of our buildings. There's a natural fact here. After 80 years, the infrastructure of buildings need to be improved.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Craig Kautz, Superintendent of Hastings Public Schools. The vote is Tuesday, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you about it afterwards. Thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We're back with more News 5 today, right after this.